Hey there, welcome back to the Balance Blueprint. I'm Dr. Aaliyah, your go-to physical therapist for all things balance and dizziness. So today we're going to talk about what happens when your inner ear stops pulling its weight, quite literally. If you've ever felt dizzy, off balance, or like your body just isn't syncing up with your movements, you may have heard something called a vestibular hypofunction. It's when the inner ear, the part that keeps you balanced, starts underperforming or goes quiet altogether. So in this video, we'll break down what vestibular hypofunction actually is, the difference between unilateral and bilateral loss, what it feels like, and how do we treat it and help you get your life back on steady ground. So let's start out. What is vestibular hypofunction? Your vestibular system lives in your inner ear and it helps your brain detect head position and movement. It works like a GPS for your head, telling your brain how fast you're moving, in what direction, and whether you're upright or are you tipping. You've got one on each side, so you do have a left and a right. When one of them or both stops working correctly, the brain loses accurate information. That's vestibular hypofunction, meaning underfunctioning. And when your GPS cuts out, your brain gets confused. That leads to symptoms like dizziness or vertigo, imbalance or clumsiness, trouble walking in the dark or uneven ground like grass, feeling like the world is bouncing when you move your head, also known as opsolopsia, brain fog, or fatigue from trying to compensate constantly. So what is unilateral versus bilateral hypofunction? There are two main types. Unilateral, meaning one ear is infected, or bilateral, where both ears are affected. So let's break both of these down. Unilateral vestibular hypofunction, or UVH, one ear isn't sending the right info. This could be due to a virus, like vestibular neuritis, trauma, or degeneration. Common signs of this include sudden spinning or vertigo, nausea, unsteadiness, or sensitivity to head movements. In UVH, the brain gets two conflicting messages, one from the good ear and one from the faulty one. So symptoms are often intense, but they can improve faster with therapy. Let's break down bilateral vestibular hypofunction, or BVH. When both ears are affected, it's a different story. Causes can include ototoxic medications like certain antibiotics, autoimmune issues, or idiopathic or unknown. In BVH, you're not getting any input at all. So no spinning sensation, but you're constantly imbalanced. You have trouble walking in the dark or on uneven ground. You have trouble stabilizing your vision with head movements, again, that opsolopsia. Because there's no good side, the brain has a harder time compensating and rehab takes longer. But it is absolutely possible to improve. So how does your brain compensate? Your brain is incredibly adaptive. When your inner ear fails you, your brain tries to make up the difference using vision or somatosensory input, what you feel through your feet, joints, and muscles. That's why people with vestibular loss often stare at the ground when they walk or tense up in their body. They are trying to gather more sensory data to stay upright. Here's where the magic word compensation comes in. Through specific movements and exercises, we can teach your brain to rely on better information and fill in those gaps left by your inner ear. So let's talk treatment options. So how do we treat a vestibular hypofunction? Enter vestibular rehabilitation therapy, or VRT. It's a customized program guided by a specialist like a physical therapist trained in balance and dizziness. Hey, that's us. So, gaze stabilization exercises. These help retrain your eyes and brain to work together, using exercises like ×1 or ×2 viewing. Imagine staring at a letter on the wall and moving your head back and forth while keeping it in focus. That's working your vestibular ocular reflex, or better known as your VOR. Next, we'd work on balance training. So we use dynamic movements that challenge your body in space, standing on foam, walking while you're turning your head, or using tandem stances with distractions. Another one is called habituation exercises. For people who get dizzy from specific motions, we use controlled, repeated exposure to desensitize the system. In bilateral cases, we might also include sensory substitution, like textured mats, walking barefoot, or using trekking poles when needed. It's all about helping the brain integrate as much data as possible from other sources. So the key with VRT is consistency, patience, and the right guidance. Progress isn't always linear, but we've seen people go from falling weekly to walking confidently again. So if your inner ear stops talking, don't panic. Your brain has backup systems, and with the right plan, you can rebuild your balance, reduce your dizziness, and feel like yourself again. At the Balance Blueprint, we specialize in this stuff. Whether your vestibular loss is recent or long-standing, we're here to help you retrain, rebound, and move forward again. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this, and drop a comment if you've been diagnosed with a vestibular hypofunction. We would love to hear your story or help you start a new chapter. Until next time, keep moving, stay curious, and take care of that amazing brain-body system you've got. Much love from the Balance Blueprint.